whisper, whisper, whisper.
Hello, hello. Test, test 1 2. Hello, everyone.
Shh,
This
shh.
is oh,
No, that was me. But that's us.
we are live. Um, Alrighty, so welcome to the stream. Uh, this is something that we wanted to do more frequently moving forward. Just to kind of introduce us to people who don't know. Ben, senior product manager at Tilting Point, and this is my friend Joe.
Hi, I'm Joe. I'm senior producer project. So pleasure to be here.
Awesome. Joe, do you want to walk everyone through kind of what we're going to be covering today?
Totally. So, welcome to the sort of first edition of this latest version of the stream. Uh, we're aiming to do this more regularly. So we are targeting the second Friday of each month. So here we are, the second Friday of October, October the 13th. However, we are going to probably immediately violate that sort of edict we're setting for ourselves because the next time we'd meet for a second Friday is going to be Veterans Day, and we are going to be off, so we're going to target that Thursday. But yeah, we would like to do more regular communications akin to this Q&A, and also mix it up. So we're going to do more dev Q&As just like this. We're going to invite some of the folks that work on the projects for deeper dives into whether it's whatever their subject matter domain expertise is in. And we'd also mix in some casual fun stuff as well. Definitely throwing around a few ideas internally, but some trivia, maybe some Star Trek themed Pictionary or something. But yeah, looking forward to doing more of these types of things, engaging with the community. And today's subject is a Q&A. We sent out uh, we sent out our the I guess the ask for questions from our community team. Community team, Nancy and folks have collated those questions for me and Ben to sort of review and get through. And there's a lot, so we're just going to jump straight into it. For our questions, we have split them up sort of categorically, and some of the questions do repeat and create kind of bucket them together. So for the first subject, we are talking about starships and fleet boss battles. I'll be asking Ben the questions initially, but we'll mix it up. He'll throw up some to me as well. So, you ready, Ben?
I am ready.
Brilliant. So the first question is from Captain Idle. He says, "Hello, Captain Idle from the Trek Time Gazette." They have a Gazette. That's great. We've been quite agog of the prospect of the new Continuum feature. However, could we get an update on boss battles? When initially launched, it was described as having extra parts added to it, and also new bridges, but we've only seen a bridge expansion. Will there be further work done to boss battles, or is that all for the feature?
Trek Time Gazette is a very prestigious newspaper only news source, no online. But yes, so fleet boss battles. The prioritization of some of the features initially discussed has changed. We have made additions since release V1 of Fleet Boss Battles uh, around improving the existing player experience. That includes the bridge expansion that we did, the reward distribution with the objective events, getting those Fleet Boss Battle components in objective events, and then also being able to get ship buffs for completing a node chain. So as for new bridges, new boss battles, they're not currently on the development roadmap. We will continue to optimize and bug fix for the existing experience, enabling smaller fleet progression as well. We've seen a lot of comments around that, and we've made some adjustments there. There may be more to be done there as well as we get more data back, but that is something that we're also looking at. And then we will continue to run objective events and other meta features to improve the progression and the engagement with the feature. But additionally, additional feature development for fleet boss battles is currently not being prioritized.
Brilliant. Thanks, Ben. What about the Doomsday Machine Bridge? Will we expand the Doomsday Machine Bridge to level 40 or higher? And can we expect a new Captain's Bridge?
It's not out of the realm of possibility. Um, that's one of those things that we want to take a look at data, see where players are currently at, and then make an adjustment from there. I would say that we're more likely to expand the current bridge levels even higher than we would be to add a new captain's bridge.
But to be clear, that's not currently in our plan or roadmap to expand it.
Not currently, no.
Okay. As a new player, I am often frustrated by somehow losing Valor during boss battles. Am I doing something wrong that somehow costs me a Valor without attacking? What can I do to prevent this?
Yeah, so this is a known issue. We have been investigating. So please report to our player support team, create a ticket when you do encounter the issue, and they'll refund that honor back. But this is something that we do have a ticket on. It's something that our team is taking a look at.
Great, thanks. When will we be seeing a new fleet boss?
Never say never, but it is not on the roadmap as of right now. I know we had a lot of ideas of that in the future and a lot of internal ideas and even designs on that. But we just had to deprioritize that and because we had to focus on some other things.
Sure. Purple, super rare, ship beholds, or a chance of ship beholds and portal pulls. So we're moving away from fleet boss battles and talking about access to starships.
Yeah. So as far as the regular portal pulls, we don't have a plan to add ship schematic beholds into those, but we do have two new objective events coming up that should be enabled and should be run hopefully in early November. And one of those is focused on PvP and ship battles, and the rewards are 4-star and 5-star ship schematic beholds. So we're really excited to roll those out. And yeah, we hope you guys really enjoy that. But that's not going to be until or early November.
Yeah, for a little context on that, I believe there is something client-based for the upcoming 10.0 client that is required to support those new objective events. So,
Yeah, it was actually a lot of it. A lot of it was done with the previous client, but we found one or two bugs really late in development, and we weren't able to hold the client. So this was something that we really wanted to do for a long time. So I'm excited to get it out.
nice. Hopefully, it's here in November. When will any adjustments be made to Fleet Boss Battle with regards to solving nodes? That is, some other bonus for captains that actually solve the nodes.
Yeah, so we're not currently planning to make the change here. But a fleet strategy and coordination around the node resolution is determined and enforced by the individual fleet. So I want to encourage everyone to kind of play nice and play for the fleet because that is the best way to do the most damage if everyone can get those nodes done first. Uh, it really applies a big bonus depending on the buff you get to do more damage in the long run.
Sure, work together. Could the ships in the game get a bit more love or an update? There are several ships that have textural errors, unlit deflector dishes, things lit that should not be, or the actual model is very crude and or inaccurate. And this kind of pairs into with another question we got, so we're grouping them together. Are there any plans to improve models and or textures on older starships? On the same note, what happened to the textures on the Enterprise A?
Yeah, so we do have bugs for some of the textures of the ships. Just a little background information. The asset bugs can be very difficult to solve and they can be very time consuming and can be very unique to the player or the platform or the device or the OS. A lot of these we try to look into and we continue to look into them. And it would be good to get a report from players as to what ships that they're seeing with what issues, what their devices are, what their platforms are, and that's something that we can sync up with the community our community folks and lead to create a thread in the forums to get that information back. And we do have a new Enterprise D in the works.
Really, thank you. Another sort of double up question, but just want to represent them both. Could fleet boss battles be unlinked from the Greylink system? We've essentially been stuck in the system for over a year now since Fleet Boss Battles was released, and it would be great to be able to visit other systems for a graphical change of pace. Following up, or not the follow up, but similarly, what would the reason be that Fleet Boss Battles can't be run in any system like other space battles? Perhaps the location could be randomized for each successive Fleet Boss battle, and we could move around that.
Yeah, so we did look into this and we did find out that it would require a non-trivial amount of work to get this done. So we did deprioritize it, but it is still on the backlog. It would be really nice to get this done one day for sure. But looking forward, we did take this feedback and you know, for some new reasons, visiting some different planetary systems, the Continuum missions, which one of our big new features coming up in 10.0. We'll bring you back around the map once again. And it's not going to be one set location for you to do those missions. They're going to change every time, every week, and every mission. So that's something that we did learn with Fleet Boss Battles, something that we took that feedback in and we we made some adjustments to what we were doing for Continuum in 10.0.
Brilliant, thank you. Is there any plans on adding additional rooms to the Starbase for Fleet Boss battle items like Magnesite and Opalitrium?
Yeah, not at this time. This was something that one of the ideas that we did consider internally, but we are considering other options for enabling more bridge progression. So it's something that we are looking at.
All right, last question on the Fleet Boss battles and starships. Are there any plans to raise the Valor storage beyond 4 to 5 or 6?
Not at this time, but I do understand the pain point there. I know even with we do have an offer of purchasing Valor as well that comes at like 4. So players that kind of finish all their Valor and then wait a little bit to regen 1, but they make a purchase there, they're kind of missing out there. So we do understand that the system's not perfect, but it's not something that we're prioritizing at this time. But I believe we do have an item on the backlog to address this.
Awesome. Thanks, Ben.
Awesome. So now we're going to switch sections here. The next questions are going to be focused around events. I'll be asking the questions, and Joe will be answering. Time for me to ask the questions now. What are our plans for new events and new event types, Joe?
So right now we're actively investigating the opportunities around a new event type. We definitely recognize the value of diversifying the things that players are doing weekend in and out. And this isn't a new problem that we've sort of identified or ideated on. There's a few proposals that we've actually had over the years surrounding events driven from different features and combinations of features and new features as far as event types go. One was based off of Voyages. Do you remember, Ben, what the Voyage like link was?
Yeah, this is something that I think we had this idea maybe 3 years ago. It's something that like internally we've always been kind of noodling on. The thing that really jumps out to me is that having an event where you're sending out your voyage, you assign your 12 crew to it, and then instead of a dilemma, or in addition to a dilemma, there will be some sort of challenge like an away mission. You can only use crew from that you put on your voyage. So there's a lot of strategy there as to what crew you want to take for what kind of circumstance. Do you want just kind of voyage specific crew, or do you want some crew that are going to help you in that kind of other challenge? Maybe it's an away mission. We also had an idea of like adding some sort of shuttle feature into that. But yeah, it's just something that really excites us internally, and I would probably say that's the front runner. But I know we had one also that around Gauntlet as well.
Yeah,
Um,
the Gauntlet one was interesting as it was more of a player versus player where the ship you were setting up was uh, gated by the crew you were setting as challenges. So attacking players would have to progress through effectively a gauntlet on your ship to get to the bridge, which is kind of fun and
right,
exciting.
and the players would kind of
And
set their own gauntlets up for other players to,
precisely,
yeah.
precisely. And then the last one, Galaxy Map Conquest. You're gonna have to fill me in on this one, I guess.
Yeah, this is a really old one actually. This one, this will probably not happen ever, but this one is like basically a brand new feature, kind of utilizing the galaxy map. Um, Players would kind of assign to a specific faction. Maybe there's a few different factions, and the players assigned to the different factions would kind of fight over controlling the galaxy map. And different factions kind of take different zones, and then points would be awarded based on how long they hold the zone. And the combat there, I think we landed on. I think that was one that mixed in maybe some Gauntlet to that, or it might have been ship battles, or it might have been multiple things. Um, do faction missions as part of around this area, and you're going to get points to that. So that was another one that we had. That was pretty interesting.
Yeah. Just to take a step back again, addressing the original question of what are your plans for a new event type. The, the step that we are actively working on in regards to a new event type is to investigate the metrics that we would have to target to invest in the future. So at this point, these ideas would sort of get resurrected once we establish that doing this work would be beneficial, fundamentally beyond the sort of perception that we assume that it'll work well. And then the design phase could be taking these things into consideration, modifying them, or there's more than likely going to be a fourth option that outside of the three that we discussed that build on it. So
Yeah, the
yeah,
ideas are the easy part, and then and then we have to go and do our due diligence, find the data to support it, and then we start having those conversations as to how we want this thing to build, what we want it to do, and then we kind of take these ideas from all of these other event ideas that we've had. Awesome. Uh, Joe, can we get the trait common for the whole mega listed in the event in the announcement for the megas?
no, never. That's impossible. No, to be more serious, we have added it to our communication template, and hopefully future mega event announcements will capture the common trait at announcement. Very simple change that we were surprised actually when we got this question. We're like, this isn't normal, and our comms have been adjusted thusly.
Awesome. Can we bring back the occasional expedition event? I can't believe I'm reading this. Just to bring some variety into events. Expedition is tactical, as it's a faction. Skirmish is rewarding, but the galaxy is monotonous and repetitive and tedious. Or could you just make a gauntlet style event?
Wait, Ben, are you asking me to bring back expedition events?
I
Because I
That's
thought
the
you previously
question.
said they might cause riots. Yes,
Yes.
we're not considering expedition events in our content calendar, and that's twofold. We haven't run them for a very long time, so there's kind of risk when we introduce this back to any sort of cadence, and frankly, they've been completely like I know there's this question comes up pretty consistently. I feel like we have to answer this anytime we engage with the community on the question side of it, and like whenever we've run them they do awfully. Like nobody plays them. They don't do fundamentally what events are supposed to do. uh so sorry, I guess, for those players that do enjoy expedition events. I do like the tactical aspect of bringing in your crew and trying to measure out how to successfully sort of complete the puzzle. However, um, continuum missions are something that we are hoping kind of scratches a similar itch. The missions are going to be based off of away missions, similar to expedition events, and those missions are going to be extraordinarily challenging. So you have to be very clever with the crew that you're bringing in and the strategy. Because if you don't bring in the right crew, uh, you're not going to get the rewards that you're going to want. You're going to waste your sort of entry into that system, which is pretty limited. So hopefully, the Continuum missions is presenting some similar experience that players have craved from Expedition in a way that other players will also engage with due to the reward system and everything else that we have in there. And then on the subject of the Gauntlet question, we've definitely considered Gauntlet style events, and that's one of the ideas we just discussed in our brief conversation about it. But there's nothing specifically at this time in regards to building a Gauntlet style event.
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, those are the two features, expedition events and Gauntlet. Either players hate them, absolutely hate them, or love them. And there's really no in between, which is kind of interesting. But yeah, thanks, Joe. Moving on.
Yeah, and based on that sentimental, I will say, polarization, the data bores out that more than the minority of people that enjoy them engage with them.
Yeah.
Sorry, Frank, if that's devastating news to you. And Nifty Minutes and Eric.
I could potentially see us running a very small, limited, like midweek event style event, possibly. Just that's an expedition. We have to change rewards and do all that stuff.
Just stop it. Stop.
But I
Don't.
just every time, Joe, every time this question's brought up, and I'm like, why? Like
Well,
you know,
I think continuum missions might satisfy that level of experience. Obviously, it's not going to address the problem with the variability of weekend events. That I agree with, but
Yep.
I am curious how people will engage with Continuum and develop the cruise strategy, because there's very interesting sub strategies as far as how you're trying to progress some of these immortalized crew. Because there's we talked about it internally, the sort of magic card effect of like how do you do that successfully to level up a weaker character that might not be able to sort of participate at these higher difficulty missions. So
yeah,
brilliant.
we do have a question
Yeah.
about Continuum coming up, but before that, we have one more, and then we can get more. We can go more in depth around Continuum. But so apart from 2016, the event type distribution was fairly equal between full events, and this year's skirmish was very far behind that. Are there any specific reasons for this change?
Yes, there is a very specific in-game economical reason that triggered the change to have more skirmish phases paired with galaxy events than just pure skirmish events. We're actually in a pure skirmish event right now, I believe. But that economical factor that we had identified and adjusted went into some of how we built the continuum mission entry. So therefore, we're going to reevaluate after the 10.0 client and the continuum feature are live, so that we can bring that mix back together.
Awesome. All right, we have a new section, next features or changes. This one's around some cool new features coming up. So what are the next cool features we have to look forward to, Joe?
Sure. 10.0.0 has two new major features: equipment and continuum missions. Continuum missions, as I sort of mentioned before, are difficult, challenging away missions that are built off of the episodes and distress call away missions that players played when they first started playing the game. Everyone at the late game is just warping those missions for whatever components they need as they are progressing their crew up to immortalization. So hopefully continuum missions are allowing players to re-engage with the stories that they fell in love with when they started playing Star Trek Timelines, as well as enabling this new crew advancement and the rewards that enable the equipment feature. Equipment are, and it's equipment, just capital Q, no E, are a new kind of equipment that can be attached to immortalized crew once they have progressed through the Continuum mission event. So equipment are going to enable powerful but temporary buffs to crew stats in a way that is going to fundamentally change a lot of how players are engaging in different features. So as an example, like I think the base equipment currently is giving some like 200 base skill to a stat. Like that's like the basic equipment. So that's a pretty substantial stat bump. But there is other equipment that is over 600, I believe, depending on the trait requirements for that
And also
equipment.
applied
So
to multiple skills as well. We have
yeah,
different equipment that are give command and diplomacy. And yeah, so like we're really excited for this. Like this is going to, I think, really change the meta and mix up the meta. Um, and there's going to be much longer voyages now. And the previous record is going to be gone probably within a week. But we're really excited for this feature because this adds one of these kind of continuous content things that that we've been doing manually for a long time with just new events every week. This is something that's generated every new week, and there's new missions for you to play every week. So this is really exciting from our end and our engineers as well. I think they've done a really good job. This was a very unique problem to solve, and a very difficult kind of from the engineering side of being able to kind of generate these DAGs and generate these missions, but also kind of recycling, using the stories from our previous episodes and episodes that we've had in the game. So yeah, I'm really excited for it. There's
yeah,
also, oh, yeah,
I
go
think
ahead,
that
Joe.
14 hours is going to get blasted as soon as fully equipped out crew in Voyages goes out. It's the stats are they are going to fundamentally sort of break the spaces of the when you're equipping a piece of equipment, it's going to just enable so much the stats gains more than the incremental weekly uh, you know crew buffs that will come with them. So we're excited to see what it does.
Another thing this feature does really does for us as well is that there's also equipment that are specialized to certain rarities. So we have equipment that only 1-star and 2-star rarities can equip this equipment, and those stat increases are crazy. They're astronomically high because we're bringing those 2-star crew, those 2 rarity crew, up to the current meta. So there's a lot of these kind of like small little equipments that we've added into this next release that are very unique to certain types of crew. And what this does is that if you have a crew that you really like the art for, you have a really good memory of this character in the episode, but it was released a few years ago and the stats really aren't up to what the current meta is. You can invest in this crew and make this one of your favorite crews. You can make that crew stats much higher, and you can then use that crew in any situation you want. So being able to kind of invest in a crew that's kind of special to you, and being able to use them in any feature you want is something that we also kind of strive to do with this feature. Cool. Anything else you want to add about Continuum and equipment, Joe?
I think there's another question later that I'll get into it. So
Okay.
let's just progress through so I don't answer the question ahead of time.
Have we seen traits be changed via specific feedback from Twitter and on the forums? But there are many factual incorrect traits not subject to interpretation for human crew lacking human. What is your plan to address a badly needed trait audit?
Sure. We currently have trait audit on the roadmap, and this is something we wanted to incorporate it into the uh, a space where we were actually creating more design space for our crew creation process. So the goal of this actual trade audit is to provide a new set of traits that are not species specific, as folks probably know, as we introduce new characters. If they have a specific species, you know, relatively one-off in the Star Trek universe, we do try to present that in the sort of trait stat of that crew member. So that's the only way some traits have been introduced since, I want to say, displaced and shriveled were probably the last two that we added that weren't just like a species trait. So it sort of came as we were doing some character creations. That's like, oh, how can we add this new trait? How can we add this new trait? And the answer to this question is how we're sort of tackling this particular task is it is an immense level of work to audit 1,500 crew. So the the less times we do that, the the better. So our goal is to sort of incorporate as many of the sort of community fed traits where there's some level of misalignment or incorrection as stated in the question, as well as seed in these new traits that belong on older crew as we open up the space for newer crew. So it's something that we have planned the work. It's not started yet, but there'll probably be some level of community engagement to be like, okay, we're taking on this work. The trade audit is happening. We'll take all the feedback as well as address it into, as we did for displaced as an example in tripled, where we applied it to the existing crew that should have that trait as well as the new crew we're missing with. As far as timeline on this, it's going to be early 2024 as far as this work. We've scoped it out to be a little bit bigger and to accomplish not just sort of the correction of the sort of perception of this crew should have this like on a micro level, and more to open it up and be like, okay, if we add half a dozen new traits that are, on the level of, inspiring or desperate or thief or politician or whatever it might be, those traits are adding value to the existing systems for the design to consider. So yeah, big question. Hopefully that answered it.
Yeah, and we know the community has a bunch of threads on this on our forums as well, where we'll probably start there, and then also definitely check in with you with the community as well, as to when we do come up with a list, probably just vetting that with the community is probably a good thing to do. I know we've done that in the past.
Totally, and there is a balance consideration. I don't know which specific crew is being referenced with the human crew lacking human, but we do have conversations when we are reviewing the briefs for crew, and we do try not to stretch too far past 8 traits for legendary characters in some cases. Obviously, we do want to represent authenticity as best as possible, but there is a balance component where we might be like, ooh, like, can we pull this off of them? Is it necessary? And then on the other side of it, I'm sure you've noticed in some cases, it's like, oh well, this person's kind of low on traits. What can we throw on them? And this is kind of where that other need came from, as far as like what new traits can we add that will help add some level of diversity to the crew sort of sorting for the as far as traits go. And we do have some traits that I would consider the kind of like crutch traits, where it's like, well, I guess we can give them resourceful. Like they present some level of resourcefulness in this episode, so it's generic enough we can kind of give it to that. And we'd like to get away from that sort of thing, but fundamentally there is a lot of factors authenticity being one of them, but a lot of factors that do contribute into the creation of traits being a certain way. And to be frank, also we just make mistakes. We do make misstuff, and correcting them individually is a cost that I'm trying to mitigate through sort of organizing the work in a better way. So
Awesome.
yeah,
Thanks, Joe.
and there's so many people that can like argue about one thing. It's like, well, technically, like
Yeah. No,
it's
it's tough. It's a tough problem to
yeah,
solve. And even in those meetings when we're kind of going back and forth on traits, like sometimes we'll have these these big conversations about a crew that last a while. They were like, they show this, but they don't show that. But balance wise, maybe we should do something like this. So, it does take a lot of time. We do take it very seriously, and something that these conversations are being had, and yeah. So we do have a plan for it. I think Joe said Q1 of
yeah,
2024.
and one more thing, just on the subject of it, like I am not personally, Ben is not personally saying like this trait belongs on this particular character. Design owns that responsibility, so they might be making a call in the sake of balance or whatever reason. So as far as like how we manage that particular thing, because the designer is responsible for watching the content, consuming all the information, and presenting it to the team where the feedback and suggestions are given. But fundamentally, design owns the crew as the data gets introduced to the game. So there is that also like lever, like the ownership of it is based on the individual designer of that crew for bringing it to the game. Obviously, a lot of our feedback is taken as direction and should be based on how we present that information, but it's yeah. Uh, we spent a lot of time talking about traits, so let's go to the next question.
Awesome. Thanks, Joe. Next question: are there any plans to improve the in-game chat feature? WRG has stated that expending resources to fix the in-game chat not really a priority. Knowing that it is a large part of the STT experience is a community, the fleets, the squads, the group activities. Why has it been not something that's been prioritized? Yeah.
Yes, so the communication that we are not prioritizing it for the reasons that we have said continue to be true. We are not considering any further development on chat. I agree the social aspect of the game is important. However, we are unable to compete with the sheer resources and features of supplementary chat apps provide. So as far as supplementing that experience, there's a community run Discord channel that Ben and I pop our heads in sometimes. Various Line, Discord, or other chat apps individual fleets choose to leverage. I would encourage folks to coordinate and organize around whatever tools are most useful for your fleets. So it's important to obviously talk to each other, and unfortunately, the chat functionality has progressed past the space of I think when Star Trek Timelines was originally in development, where these kinds of things were more fundamental, that the conversations are just happening elsewhere. So we're not going to put a ton of resources into this thing when for the most part players have kind of solved this problem for themselves by leveraging other technology.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely not ideal, but it is something that we take feedback for the future for future games and future stuff. Yeah, thanks, Joe. Is there a collection tier update on the horizon?
Yes, it's not something we like to do frequently for a few reasons. One being that there's some level of like I completed this collection and that you expanded it. Like my work is,
Yeah.
you've just
You're moving the
added more
goal
work.
line on me, Joe.
Yep, yep. But it is something that sort of helps to reflect the accessibility and importance of collecting, which is such a core part of the experience of this game. We are planning on doing a milestone expansion evaluation that we are looking at the end of Q1 of 2024 as far as expanding that milestone. As specific to the animated collection or any other specific collections, our designers will sort of go through and see what headroom has been created since the creation of these collections and evaluate where we can slot more milestones.
Awesome. Is there any plan or notion to re-release or reissue older gold cards?
So this was a question that when we were reviewing, we weren't sure exactly what was meant. So I took it in two different contexts. In the context of improving their statistics, like a re-release or a reissue of like, oh, this is that Scotty with the one engineering, but he's got lower engineering than other characters with two or three skills. In the context of improving their statistics, equipment is intended to help bring some of the less used characters into the meta and into usability. So some of the equipment targets are targeted to as specific crew. I think Scotty, the one I mentioned, was one of them. I believe the Binars may be another one. But there's a handful of crew that are leveraging specific equipment that will help bring them into some level of usability. The counter to this particular thing is like, okay, like equipment's going to enable progression and buffs for a lot of other crew, like, and how does that level out? So again, the ones that are targeting more specific traits or more specific crew will be able to sort of improve that. And in case this was a question from a newer player as far as like, oh, this card was, came out in 2017, I don't know how to get it. As far as accessing older cards, crew retrieval is the place to do it. Crew retrieval allows you to sort of collect what you need and construct the thing that allows you to target specific crew. We also rerun packs and rerun events that allow players to access some of these more easily, whether it's a lower cost or just a part of engagement rewards. And then the Voyage rewards is another space that we've added more agency with the Behold tech, and I'm sure I'm probably missing a few more. So maybe there's another one. Oh, got it. So
Yeah, I think
the
I
yeah,
think you
those are the
covered it right.
spaces.
The Voyage rewards is a big one to get 4-star crew as well. Um, and then I know I think we recently updated like the faction shops and the crew that pop up in them. So that would be another area. Cool. Next question. Will there be any new planets or systems added to the map in the near future?
No, it's not on the roadmap. It's a pretty large investment, but it did allow me to reminisce about something which was kind of cool. I'll throw this in the chat actually. Let's see. Does that work? So the original engineer who designed the planet system design and enabling is did the talk, and this kind of was so fascinating because it's dating itself back to Unity 5 as far as how they cleverly constructed both the tools that enabled the initial creation of the galaxy that is Star Trek Timelines. The tool that he talks about generating this video is no longer compatible with the latest version of Unity's. So it's something, it's a little piece of apocrypha if you're curious how it was originally done. But at this point, we would have to go back to sort of building that level of tool and or building these 3D environments, which are very expensive and not something we're looking to take on at this time.
Yeah, the video is pretty. I've never seen the video, and when you showed it to me yesterday, I kind of browsed through it. I was like, wow, it's pretty impressive. So yeah, it's really cool to kind of see like behind the scenes on how that stuff is made in that tool. The engineer behind it is one of the best that I think I've worked with. I don't know about you, Joe, as well, but yeah, really good engineer and really fascinating process as well.
Yeah.
Awesome. Are we eventually going to have a collection for each Star Trek show? Can be with or without a supporting mega event?
Sure. Currently, our collection plans, they do not include every Star Trek show. They're very wide and include a lot of crew that have good collection value. And that's something that we do try to evaluate and target when we're creating collections is who can we add to what collections can we add that give collection value to crew that don't have it or don't have as much. I would hope that we eventually get here. Again, I can't say that we are planning on it because we are not currently planning on it, but I I would like to eventually get there, excluding the animated series, just kind of rolled up into animated and lower deck. So I suppose they're already represented. Maybe is
Yep. Yeah, I could see that maybe eventually. But when are you going to add more missions?
so. New missions are not currently planned. We are hoping that Continuum allows for the smarter investments into additional missions, but that needs to be evaluated after we release them.
Awesome. It's been mentioned recently that Chroniton stock is on the rise, going to the moon, as they say. In addition to the new post-immortalization crew feature, what else do you have planned to incentivize us to spend crons?
Yeah, so we regularly run, or not regularly, but we do run the Chroniton objective event for that purpose, and we are expecting, I guess, a couple things. But the understanding of Chroniton expenditures being a part of Continuum, it's not surprising that players are saving some Chronitons. So after we release Continuum, we need to reevaluate the state of the Chroniton economy, so that way we can see where it's at and if further investment is necessary, or if the feature succeeds, frankly, in sort of rebalancing that Chroniton economy so that players that have hordes of tens of thousands of Chronitons are able to use them and leverage them to sort of progress their crew a little bit more efficiently and use their Chronitons. That's the goal. Yeah.
Awesome. Veteran veteran players typically have huge rosters and aren't currently incentivized to purchase portal pack offers due to the high chance that any legendary beholds will end up as nothing but airlock fodder. Has there been any discussion about making legendary beholds attractive to longtime players again? And then in addition to that, there was talk of letting us kind of reroll beholds. What's the status of that? In addition to that, would you please allow us to reroll a behold for dilithium? This should be, really valuable for WRG and would eliminate the single worst experience in the game. When one gets a behold with all three crew already immortalized or frozen.
Sure. We're talking rerolls as far as beholds. We're talking legendary beholds not being valuable to veteran players with big rosters and collections. Um, the reroll behold was a feature as part of the behold tech that got rolled back. There's there was a couple reasons for that. The I think sometimes uh, different things get ahead of themselves as far as looking at a potential solution, saying like this is the solution. So there was some concerns as far as this just re-rolling of a whole, uh, not really addressing the core issue of sort of bad beholds, which I think the first question kind of got at, which is like they actually don't have value because I can describe the worst player experience where I spend dilithium to re-roll a behold, and all of a sudden I get the same result, and I have now spent dilithium instead of just taking my 200 honor or 550 honor and moving on with my day. So with that being said, the reroll the reroll feature as part of Behold Tech was removed. However, we are trying to target sort of the what the veteran players in the first question of this set sort of were asking for. So there's a couple ideas we've been throwing around. One is more of the curated Behold. So as an example, the campaign sort of pack is a curated Behold with a specific set of crew, or a specific crew with two supplementary crew. So can we consider using some of that tech of stating the specific and pairing it with general beholds, or a specific set of curated beholds? Would that be valuable to the veteran players that have these huge rosters? Possibly a new kind of pack. I think we were talking about it, Ben. You were calling what premium, like super premium rewards or something, which I hate/love that name. And the other technology, which is kind of how some other gotcha and different things, is it's like a pity timer. And again, a lot of these things are based on a lack of existing tech for the understanding of a play, like an individual player's collection and roster and immortalized crew cryostasis stuff. So there's a few factors that are leading to this. So again, like, we didn't want to give players a bad button to keep pushing and getting more mad, for one, and we are looking to expand our offerings to hopefully address the experience that players are describing as far as progressing to a point where they're getting three immortalized crew, and perhaps providing something else. When we look at the different merchandising for the stuff, Elusive Treasures was originally this sort of thing. Like, players were using this to rebuild their collections and finish immortalizing stuff. And I think even Elusive Treasures has gotten to the point for some of these players with these rosters to be like, well, this isn't actually helping me. So we need to evaluate from that perspective and work back from it. But hitting a button that provides more pain for that player is something that we purposefully steered away from when I think the concern, as outlined in the first question, of saying, like, these are actually not good for me anymore, or was the reroll originally trying to address.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ways to address this, and a lot of conversations that we've had internally around this, um, and it is something that we are still taking a look at moving forward. Just the other day, I had an idea of how we could kind of make theme packs more approachable, and that was something that Joe and I had a conversation over. So it's something that we are actively kind of looking at. Um, and just an example too, like some of the mixed behold packs that we've done. The first times we were running those, they were very kind of focused and smaller crew sets, and now they've become a lot bigger. And that is, feedback that we've gotten from player base is that the crew, the pool is just too big. It's not able to kind of target that crew that I want, or a certain number of crew that I want. So with your feedback, this is something that we're constantly kind of going over and addressing and making adjustments. So you'll probably see some kind of new types of packs in the future as we kind of try some things and get player feedback on.
Yeah, I just want to call Antithesis and Booter Suncoast are talking about a couple other elements. So yeah, I can't think of the guarantee against replacement, or there's a terminology in statistics that I cannot grasp the name or bring it to my mind right now. But basically, the like guarantee replacement that is valuable. Yeah, I think Antithesis and Booter Suncoast kind of call that last thing that I failed to mention as another experience for this particular issue that we have.
Awesome. Moving on. Two more questions from me, Joe, and then you can ask me some questions. Would you ever consider making a Gauntlet run on a 12-hour window instead of the current 24-hour one? For many players, the randomness associated with this feature is a strong cause of frustration, which is only exacerbated by a perceived inability to rank high because of when the Gauntlet ends. By ending every gauntlet at midnight UTC, any players in Europe, Middle East, or Africa will experience the gauntlet ending in the middle of the night. This then makes it significantly harder to rank highly, as other players in the same gauntlet will be actively scoring at the end. By switching to a 12-hour rotation, those players would alternately have their gauntlet ending at a time when they could realistically expect to be active, improving their engagement in the feature, while those in the time zones for whom the current schedule works would not be adversely affected.
Yes, I think this argument has been presented, and it's something that we had investigated at one point, and it turned out to not be as trivial factor to experiment with. We do need to reinvestigate this as far as our latest development resources, as far as like if they had any different ideas as far as changing, because unfortunately it's not as simple as being like, oh, there's a 24-hour thing, can I just change it to 12 and just see how that would run that experiment. We would love to run that experiment, but we're not in a position to sort of simply do so at this time. So it's a great idea. I agree with the experience not being optimal for those not based out of the 24-hour window in which they run. But it's something that we either need to adjust the design on the Gauntlet run space to do this, or the scheduling component of it needs that engineering work that is suggested here to enable this sort of behavior.
Yeah, this would be a good like quality of life thing. Maybe that we could potentially look at in the future. All right, so several months ago, there were packs that could be bought with credits. Will these type of packs be available again in the future?
We don't currently have credit packs planned. I think we've tried them a few different ways, but there's none currently on our.
Yeah, I remember we did do that. We had that credits pack at that time to kind of address a certain economic. There was an economical reason within the game that we did that, and so we really don't have that same reason anymore as of right now. So there's not one currently planned.
Brilliant. All right. It's my turn. This is my section to ask you questions, Ben. So we're talking about rewards. Ben, are there any plans to let us bulk open boxes?
So this is not something that we currently have on our roadmap, but we did make some big steps recently. I believe in our previous client 930, and it added the kind of pull again, open again button, which I know players were like, "Oh my God, this is amazing! I wish this was in the game years ago." But so we did make a big step there to get that in there. But as for like bulk opening, that's not something we do have currently planned.
Brilliant. Can you increase the VIP level in rewards, maybe with an exclusive ship or crew? I've been VIP 14 for so many years, but still purchase stuff. It would be nice to be rewarded for my loyalty.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. We are working on a program actually specifically for our web shop, a loyalty points and reward track there. That'll give you extra currencies, extra in-game, items, and maybe even some exclusive items. So that is something we're looking at there. As for in-game VIP level, not currently. If we wanted to expand that, I think it would be something that we would want to add something unique as a reward for that, as in like another mechanic for a higher VIP level. Because with the current VIP levels, you unlock warp at a specific level, and you unlock these kind of different things as you go. We'd want something that's kind of more unique if we were to do it in game. So it's not something we are currently focused on, but it is coming on the web shop fairly soon.
I don't think you need VIP level to warp anymore. But yeah, there's other perks and stuff.
I think we actually did VIP warp 1. You don't need VIP. I think warp 3 you need VIP unless we changed that. I can't remember.
Oh, okay. It's possible that you're right. Brilliant. I'm sure someone in the chat is going to correct us.
Yeah, let's get a
Uh,
VIP 0 someone to confirm that for us.
So some Voyage dilemmas have legendary. VIP Zero gets Word One, which I think they used to not get any. Change
Thanks,
that.
Dollar.
So some Voyage dilemmas have legendary replicator fuel as a possible reward. Would you consider removing replicator fuel as a reward option?
So we're not considering that as an additional change for removal at this time. That is something that a change where it does take up a certain percentage of that kind of loot drop rate. We don't want to just remove that. We want to have something else to replace that. So that is something that we have been thinking about. We do understand that that is players really don't want to be getting those, especially for those longer dilemmas. But we don't just want to kind of pull out that reward. We want to try to find something else that would be valuable, but something that would still be useful for players. So um, maybe that's a change that we can do in the future, but we don't have that currently planned.
Got it. I'm just going to roll these last two up here, Ben. So I'm actually going to flip 2 and 1 while we're on the subject of voyages. So how many hours can a voyage go without running out of dilemmas now? I've heard they are still getting stuck after 72-hour voyages, even with the new dilemmas.
So stuck dilemmas are not based off of running out of dilemmas, and we've confirmed that through player tickets and whatnot. And the total dilemma pool is not specific, as certain decisions can create subsequent follow-up dilemmas. And Also, why are you running 72-hour voyages? That is like 72-hour dilemma. That's crazy.
Yeah, there's probably some optimal thing that I think this player is searching for, and I don't know if we know it offhand, but as far as avoiding the stuck voyage dilemma bug, it's running 72 hours or 60 hours, 30 hours. The recommendation we make still could not prevent some cases of stuck voyages. So, all right, last question on this section. With the upcoming equipment in version 10, will the 1,000 items inventory limit be expanded to accommodate all these new items?
So no, we're not going to be expanding it at this time. But the equipment and equipment continuum components are not, or sorry, they are a separate category and will not be considered and counted towards that inventory limit. So you don't have to worry about losing out on any of those equipments or continuum components.
All right. The last section, which we can kind of co-share, Ben, is just kind of fun questions. I'll kick us off. What's your favorite episode of Star Trek?
Oh gosh. My favorite episode, I would say my new favorite is the battle against the Gorn on the I think it was the first season of Strange New Worlds. That was I think going into Strange New Worlds, I had kind of not super high expectations. I felt that Discovery kind of left more to be wanted, and so I didn't let my expectations get too high. But after going into Strange New Worlds and seeing that episode, I was just so excited for it moving forward, and then the most recent season as well. I would say that that's my kind of new favorite. Was that I forget the title of that episode, to be honest. Um, but it was they're fighting basically a big ship battle episode with the Gorm, where they're kind of hiding in and out of different cloud clusters and stuff like that in space. So that was really cool. What about you, Joe?
Yeah. Uh, it's hopefully no secret that I'm a Deep Space Nine like fan. The In the Pale Moonlight is like my favorite episode of Star Trek because it was the episode that I feel like sort of concretely captured that like Star Trek could be this other thing. Like it was messy. The I don't know, the resulting at the conclusion of that episode was just really exciting to me, as far as it's like, oh my god, like they're just brushing this under the rug, they're gonna do it, and it's like it's perfectly encapsulated by Garrick's, like, like this might save this entire quadrant of life, and all it cost is a few lives and the reputation or the self-respect of a Starfleet officer. I just love that line. It like makes my hair raise on end when I think about it. So I love that episode. Garrick's one of my favorite characters. So great stuff.
Awesome. I can ask the next one. If you could add anything to Star Trek timelines, what would you want to add?
I feel like from my position, I feel like I always get to add things that I like. Even just thinking about in the Pale Moonlight, like I generated the brief for Saboteur Garrick, which was really exciting to bring that character to life. I've talked about this a little bit before, so I feel like I'm kind of spoiled. We actually have this thing in the game for our merchandising called developer packs, where anybody on the team can basically say like, hey, I want to bring this character to the game. If it's within the license that we have, they can just assemble their own little theme pack. And the theme is, I like this stuff. It's not their writers or duelists or whatever. It's the fact that they, as a fan of Star Trek, like these characters. And I do feel like I'm spoiled in the sense that like a lot of the theme packs are just my developer packs because I just help bring them into the game. Um, yeah. Well, Karma soup, yeah. Thanks. What would you add to Star Trek timelines? You could, and your audio cut out.
Oh, can you hear me now?
I'm trying to see if chat's saying.
Sorry, I think I fixed it.
All
Chemical
right, well,
clips.
we're gonna have to circle back.
Yep. So the trying to think of
If you could,
where we came back, where I came back in, or where I muted. Oh, the Romulan Picard. I think that's where, or maybe I muted there. I don't remember. But anyways, if I could add anything to STT, it would be the Voyage mixed with the Way mission, either being like an event type. I think that's really interesting design wise. Um, and that's something that that I really want to see kind of in the game. Another thing would be like a pets feature, something that's more than just you attach this pet to a character that gives you a buff. Like I want something similar to like the Chow Gardens from Sonic Adventures 2, where you have a Tribble. I want to just love that Tribble. I want to just feed the Tribble. I want to make it make it kind of level up, grass grow, and then compete with other players' pets. I think that would be really interesting.
nice. You want to throw me the last question, or do you want to? I got you. Outside of
Yeah.
Star Trek games, what do you like to do?
So one of my newest hobbies is making hot sauce. I've always been a like a hot sauce fanatic, and I actually just started. It all started with a kit that I got. My wife got me a hot sauce making kit for Christmas last year, and then I kind of took that and ran with it. So it was really interesting. It was a lot more chemistry and science than I originally thought, but it was really intriguing. So spring of next year, I am building a garden. I can grow my own peppers as well. I'm learning all about all the different peppers, what habaneros, the Thai chilies, all that stuff. So I've been making batches of hot sauce. My wife is like, what are we gonna do with all this hot sauce? We have like 30 bottles. I'm like, I'm just trying to learn, you know? So I've been handing bottles away. I've bought big Amazon crates of just these little hot sauce bottles that I'm just handing them away to people. So that's my new hobby. What about you?
Awesome. I'm also a huge like I love cooking and making food. So yesterday I made egg rolls, spinach feta stuffed ones, and like a pulled pork cabbage one. So I like to try different things and make a lot of varied stuff. So cooking's big for my, I will say, sanity. It's probably not the best for my health because I'm, frying egg rolls at home. But
Oh yeah,
yeah,
that's awesome.
brilliant. I think that wraps up the Q&A. It's been over an hour. We only had one minor mute issue, I hope, during this time. Um, and yeah, let's sort of uh, go to the final topic, which is our content update. Um, so we've kicked off the season with some of the characters from our favorite spooky episodes of Star Trek. Phantasm's Data is now available as a pure giveaway crew, as well as the main reward in our ongoing endurance objective event. As we talked about a bit through the Q&A, um, uh, Continuum is coming, along with the release and subsequent force upgrade of the 10.0 client. We'll be giving away some goodies to kickstart early access into the feature. Ben, do you have any planned sales that you want to talk about?
I was muted again for a hot second. The planned sales we have coming up, we're going to run actually a discounted rerun pack featuring the artifact. We know a lot of players have been asking for the artifact for that ship. We know it's really big in fleet boss battles. So we're going to be rerunning that rerun ship pack in later October. It might even be next week, either next week or the week after. That's also going to be, we're going to have an LTO, a limited time offer around that, and there'll be a special one on the, there'll be one in game, but then one special one that'll be on the web shop as well. That'll give additional schematics. We will have special Continuum offers when the Continuum releases. We'll have one in game and then as well, kind of a pairing one on the web shop. And then you can expect a crew slot and Davos sale coming up in November. You heard it here first, folks.
Awesome. Along in November, we have some fun one-offs planned for weekend events, one of which is including my favorite bartender, whom I'm sure you can guess. And we're cooking our mega for December, as well as our Convergence Day anniversary event expected in January. Ben, we have about 60 people still watching us. And I do realize there's a couple of questions as far as we might have missed a few questions that were submitted. As far as we've collated these, apologize if anything got rolled up to other ones or if they got missed in some capacity. But we are at an hour and 15 minutes and we do need to wrap up. So I think a nice thing that we could do, Ben, is provide some dilithium for folks watching. What do you think?
What? Free dilithium? Crazy. That sounds good to me. So
Or do you think replicator rations? Is that what people want instead?
yes, yeah. We'll just hand out replicator rations. No, so special coupon code I just put up on the screen here. STT live stream OCT 23. Use this coupon code on our web shop, store.startrektimelines.com. I can throw that in the chat. That'll give you 100 dilithium. This is something we really want to grow is the YouTube channel, and you can actually get more dilithium the more subscribers that we get. So I think I believe I put up a message of the day earlier today around what our kind of milestones are. It was milestone 1,000, I think, gives 100 or 150 chronotons. There's 100 dilithium that's given after 2,500 subscribers to our YouTube channel. And then with 5,000, everyone will get 650 dilithium. So if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. And if you want more free dilithium. But yeah, use that code STT livestream OCT23. Use that code on our web shop, and that'll give you 100 dilithium.
Awesome. As a brief aside, Tilting Point and the team that we actually work with within Tilting Point actually launched a couple games this past month. If you like James Bond and have an Apple device, I would encourage you all to check out Cypher, which is an Apple Arcade exclusive where you can play as Bond in a stealth kind of gameplay. And then the other one is SpongeBob Adventures in a Jam. If you're a fan of SpongeBob, I'm not sure the crossover between either of these IPs and our audience, but it's something that a lot of the people Ben and I work alongside have been working really hard to share with everybody to check out.
Yeah, and the games are amazing, especially SpongeBob's always fantastic. But Cypher, that was something kind of new that either our team really didn't have a ton of experience with, but we it came out absolutely amazing. The reviews so far have been off the charts, and yeah, it has like I think it's a 4.9 rating so far. It's been just released, so yeah, check that out. Cypher 007, that's on Apple Arcade, and then SpongeBob Adventures in a Jam, that is available on Apple and Android, which is free.
Awesome. And sort of last subject, the next live stream, we don't have the topic for it yet. It will not be another Q&A. We'll be reaching out probably a week prior to sort of set up for what we will be doing in about a month. It's not going to be the second Friday, as I kind of mentioned earlier. It's going to be Thursday, likely November 9th. But again, leading into that, we will be communicating via forums, socials, as we did for this one, to sort of just discuss what we're going to be doing. SpongeBob, yes. Oh, that's the crossover we need. Throw in Agent Bashir and you got it. Anything else, Ben? Before we depart, we've been streaming for almost 90 minutes.
Crazy. No, I think that's it. Like we said before, we want to be doing this more consistently, and kind of interacting with the community a lot more. So we're really excited for that. And all the different streams coming up are we're gonna have different themes as to what we're doing. I think Joe already mentioned like a Pictionary one, maybe just a walkthrough or playthrough, and then Q&As, and then even like behind the scenes process stuff. Like Joe's gonna make cabs. He's gonna make a cab and teach everyone else how to make a cab for a new character, and then maybe go through art pipeline, just a bunch of stuff. So we're really excited to kind of share all this, all the behind the scenes stuff with you guys, and make this a more consistent thing. That's
Brilliant.
it.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time, Ben, and look forward to doing more of these.
Awesome. Thanks, and thanks everyone.